Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, September 23rd, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is the 8 of Swords in its reversal. I like to see this card in its reversal. We don't fear reversals here. We like certain cards in reversal. This is a great card to see in its reversal because I told you this is a little bit of that lighter on air feeling. And I know there was a lot of that anticipation that you may have been feeling leading up to some of this fall, like this equinox energy that we've come into. Now we just see like a lot of this right now. It may be feeling very, I want to say, peaceful. It may be feeling very freeing. A lot of this energy that we're experiencing right now, it's like, I want to almost describe this as like, it is kind of like the midway point also of eclipse season, because we're really getting close to that as well. A lot of this work that we see right now is building upon that sense of patience and perseverance. Right? We were doing this work even when we were going through that Mercury retrograde cycle, right? Because the Mercury retrograde cycle, there was a lot of stillness. This particular eclipse, we're getting a lot more of that amplification, a lot more of that intensity, that intensification feeling. But again, when you don't internalize an external problem, it often creates that sense or that ability to maintain one's own energetic equilibrium. And so we see even now that for a lot of the energy deep within the divine union, that ability of just persevering and persisting, come what may to a certain extent. A lot of this is the energy, is basically like coming into that modality of observing something, but not becoming reactive to it. And a lot of the gift of the energy deep within divine union is simply like the gift of being non-reactive. Like a lot of it is just being non-reactive, of kind of going with the flow to a certain extent. And so we see even here a lot of that energy doing that work, facilitating on that path work. This is the energy that even when you're navigating a difficulty, you're always just looking for that solution. You're always just looking for that easement point. So we see even now, like there's a lot of that sense right now of I want to say getting things done, of just not losing momentum, if you will. So we could be feeling a little bit of this modality here of something that feels like it's gaining momentum. The way I like to describe some of this energy we've been experiencing is you can almost experience, and this is why the juxtaposition of the Mercury retrograde close to the eclipse, the best way I can describe it is like, when you're on a roller coaster and you're like going up to the point. We've hit that like equinox point, which is like the point where you're just kind of sitting at the top. And now, whoosh, everything's going to start moving a lot faster now. So we may be having a lot of that feeling of buildup that's occurring. But again, as long as you're in that state of expectation, moving that energy from anxiety into excitement is going to be helpful right now. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, this was like, I have to say, and this is what was so difficult, because again, I saw joy or devastation that was occurring right now for the energy coming into divine union, because that ability of, I want to say, activation, a lot of that energy coming into divine union, starting to build in the center or space of trust, having those modalities of feeling something in a way that you haven't before. This is either the energy that is embracing that is almost saying to one another, I don't know what comes next. I've never reached this modality with someone who hasn't like run away, right? This may be a lot of those energies that are feeling to a certain extent like that peace or that enthusiasm, because this could be a lot of energy that is characterizing on experiences in the past where they felt like they got close to something with someone, right? Like almost reaching that point. And so for a lot of energy right now, simply the ability to feel that vulnerability with energetic counterpart that doesn't run away from that intensity, but almost holds on more tightly. It may feel like a little bit of that beautiful embrace energy, because this is the energy that is feeling and experiencing not only that sense of feeling that you're building forth with someone that is coming from a place of honesty, but also that they have the ability to navigate the intensity of an energetic connection such that they don't run away from it, they move closer towards it. And that is required, that is characteristic in order to navigate a healthy energetic connection. That is also why I see that observational point could also be why I see a lot of energy potentially stepping away from someone right now. Because if these are modalities or experiences wherein that sensitivity, that activation point is occurring, but someone is becoming volatile within it instead of becoming vulnerable, right? If someone is reacting to it instead of embracing it, this is the energy that experiences that, and it feels devastating to witness but the gift that's happening for some of the energy that is moving, it's experiencing that, and I have to describe this as a gift, is this isn't the energy that feels like they're doing something wrong. They're not overly internalizing it. This is energy that's seen that before. They've recognized it. They're saying to themselves, it's happening again. Because that's that modality of saying, that sense of saying to oneself, I can't change that, right? I can't affect that. That is something that is required from the energetic counterpart. So for a lot of the energy navigating that, I have to say this, simply the recognition point of observing something and understanding it, that is what is allowing this to potentially be, even if these are energies that are moving away from one another at that moment, something that feels like a heart opening. Because heartbreaks occur in spaces where we don't know what's happening. Heart openings occur when we fully understand. Because for some of this energy experiencing this could be that modality of looking towards someone and saying, I recognize that that person has all the capacity of love for me in their heart space, but they haven't learned the tools necessary to carry that level of energetic love. And that's something that, again, it's painful, but it's cathartic, because it's not the energy that questions whether the love is there. It's more the energy asking and looking towards someone and saying, I don't think they have the ability to maintain and sustain the intensity or level of that energetic feeling, right? And so even here we see that that's not energy trying to force that. That's energy almost trying to step away and saying, perhaps in time they will see it too. And almost like the thing that they're trying to do if someone's becoming reactive into that is almost trying to say to someone, I think this is what's happening. But what's hard about that is, like, you know, if someone's being reactive, even in that modality, it may be feeling painful because it feels like you have to say to someone, you're putting walls up at a moment that you should be putting those walls down. While for masculine and feminine in separation right now, what direction you going in? Like, this is a lot of the energy right now in separation that may be feeling and asking themselves that question. I got to stress here, if there's some energy right now in separation, feeling a little disoriented, this I can see why, because we saw that in our reading, not yesterday, the day before. Having that modality, having like a point of frustration, saying I'm done, like a lot of energy going, I'm done, but then realizing that in the moment that you said you're done, you're just beginning, because what you're really doing is you're shedding anything that feels like it was moving you off your path. You're just being a lot of this energy said, I'm done. What they really meant was, I'm going to be myself from now on. I'm not going to go through the charade. I'm just going to be my most authentic sense of self. So for a lot of the energy right now, they're doing that, and they're bumping right into new energetic counterparts that are also doing that. So there's a huge possibility of like raw, vulnerable connections opening up here. But there's some energy right now that's dealing with some energy in the past, you know? And so here, I can almost see that there's a lot of energy right now in separation that's going, what is happening? Because I can almost see a lot of energy coming from the past saying, come hither, and a lot of energy in the future going, come forward. And so the energy is like, what has gotten into everybody? Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, and I'll tell you what's gotten into everybody, the equinox. In combination with the full moon, the amplification of emotional intensity that is clarifying and lighting the way for energy right now in relationality to what direction they want to move towards. Hence the Justice card that just popped up, which is very much in alignment with that Lover's card that we ended our reading on yesterday. So for masculine and feminine energy and separation, this is why it's a little bit of a Yahtzee moment. And the reason I say that is because we see even now like that ability of like really asking oneself like what direction one is moving towards. This is the energy that is really assessing and asking oneself in the refinement of that direction what it is that one truly values and what it is that one truly wants, right? Because we talked about the fact that like that whole expansion point between the retrograde cycle stacked on top, like right after the retrograde coming into this eclipse, the retrograde period allowed a lot of energy to I want to say, refine their manifestation goals in the process of receiving everything they wanted in energetic connection, but the most vital thing. So a lot of energy right now is kind of put their finger on what they identify is their energetic priority, right? What do we identify as an energetic priority? Something that is so important that everything else is flexible, right? And so for a lot of energy, we saw that during that retrograde, it was feeling kind of frustrating in separation because it feels like a lot of energy was receiving everything that was flexible, but lacking the thing that was integral. So even now, that sense of identifying the energy right now in separation is moving in the direction that their integrity lies. So for some of that energy right now, that is going forward, right? If that's that energy saying, I know that that integrity is not appearing in that past experience. I'm not seeing that there. I'm just seeing more. I'm getting an amplification of what was not that integrity. Then this is energy that's going and just moving forward at peace. If there's energy right now where someone's coming forward to them from the past with something that feels like a deepening of conviction and integrity, there are some situations here. Okay, and you understand, I'm not that type of reader that's saying they're coming back. I'm not going to do that. I don't do that. But I am saying that if there are some situations I'm potentially seeing here, wherein if someone is coming towards someone with integrity and conviction, and it is apparently clear that something is energetically changed in those zones, there are some possibilities of energy that is going back, but you'll recognize it's not the energy going back to the same. It's energy that is going back towards what feels like it is characterized as an intense change. Now, for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, a lot of this energetic balance, I told you even now, what are we seeing? We're seeing, and again, I told you, like we're in equinox and eclipse energy. We're going to see some of this splitting that's occurring. I see some energy now that is deepening into, like the blossom that's opening. They're deepening into an energetic connection. They're feeling that vitality point of feeling the activation of energy within them, feeling that sense of someone that doesn't run from that, but embraces towards it. And it feels like the energy of an embrace. And this is the energy that feels that sense of completion, moving deeper into divine union, because this is the energy that almost says, I found my energetic counterpart, not just someone that matches my integrity, but they match my conviction. Right? The same lesson. These lessons are going to start stacking more because we're in such an intense energetic frequency right now. So this is the same, these lessons, what we often see. Sometimes the lessons take a few days or weeks, but when we start experiencing eclipse cycles, sometimes they start happening across all of the frequencies at the same time. So we see even now that some of that energy going through that right now feels that sense of abundance because they found the energetic match that matches their integrity and their conviction, the opening of the lotus. Some of the energy right now, if one person is opening and the other person is too resistant, if the other person is pulling back at a time and saying like, I don't like this feeling, this is too much, and the other energy saying we're supposed to open now, like we're supposed to open now, and the other energy is going no. What we're effectively seeing is that is the energetic equivalent of what can lead to this energy falling back into separation. And that is that painful moment, because that is for the energy that is experiencing it here. That is a heart opening moment, even in the experience of seeing someone pulling away and recognizing it as energetic fear, right? Because this is the energy that's almost seeing someone that's behaving oddly. They're acting differently, and almost trying to say to them, you want to tell me about what's going on? And if the energy is like, no, I don't want to talk about it, or they start pulling away, or they're getting more distant, this is the energy that's almost looking at that with a sense of almost sadness. It's almost like that feeling like reaching your hand out to someone and saying they're too afraid to take it. Like, even here we see, and the peace, the one thing I will say that's happening here for the energy experiencing it is at least the peace and observation in recognizing and identifying it's occurring. The energy isn't trying to change it. You can't force a flower, right? You can't force a flower, but this is the energy that's almost coming into that state of acceptance in relationality to what is occurring. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, this is a little bit, this is more of the energy right now, like just I want to say keeping and maintaining energetic balance in the force of energy around you that may feel like they're not. like I don't mean to put it so like succinctly, but I keep getting a little bit of this energy deep within divine union. Like I just keep getting it's not their first rodeo. Like, so even here, like for the energy deep within divine union, that ability of just kind of navigating circumstances and keeping one's own sense of, what did we say are the watchwords today? Conviction and integrity. Sometimes when you already have the conviction and integrity, you just got to maintain the status quo. So we see that that's a little bit of that work that the energy deep within divine union is doing today. Third card in our 5-card spread is our 2 of Swords in its reversal. A lot of sword energy today, guys. So a lot of just like, it's not it's a lot of just getting things done to a certain extent. You know what I mean? It's like it feels perfunctory. You know what I mean? But that's the thing about it. Like, again, I want to say that a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, a lot of it is just like doing that work and focusing and not getting energetically distracted to a certain extent. I just see that a lot of the energy deep within divine union, like today's the type of day of just like putting your nose to the grindstone, like knocking things off that list, just like busy kind of energy. Because this is the energy that also recognizes that when they feel energetic stillness, they don't let themselves dwell in it. They get active. They let that conviction and integrity guide them through it, come what may, right? While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, so much of this energy that we're seeing right now is a direct result of that work to a certain extent. Because I'm just seeing even now that for so much of this energy working through this right now, that ability of recognizing and identifying, having that sense of energetic purpose, doing that work right now, this is the energy that is working through. Some of this energy is moving deep into divine union. Some of this energy is recognizing and identifying and feeling some of that breakthrough. Some of this energy is potentially falling out of divine union right now with that sense of acceptance. If they're coming forward to a sense of having that opening, but someone isn't able to meet or match them in that same way, there's a lot of that energy here that, like, again, they're not trying to force it, but they are perceiving it. And that's the energy that's almost saying to someone, if you're pushing away at a time that you're supposed to be moving closer, and this is almost the energy saying to someone, even in that modality, I'm not going to chase after you. I'm not going to force you into that modality of making a choice. That's something that only you can make. So for a lot of the energy right now, some of that energy moving into divine union is feeling that joy and abundance. Some of this energy experiencing this is almost saying to someone, I can almost hear them say, I don't want you to regret this choice someday. Because that's the energy that's seeing someone and saying, like, I know that this is coming from a place of love, but you're letting the fear block the love. And that maybe that day when you're no longer in that space of fear. And so even here, like, this is the energy that's almost saying, like, be mindful of your energetic choices during that time, because this is the energy that's almost trying to give someone the confidence to step forward at a moment that they're recognizing that their own fear of change is pulling them backwards. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, this is all an amplification of choice and direction right now. And these are some of these moments, like, again, this is why we call it a collective, because for some of this energy, this could be a step forward. for some of this energy, this might be a step backwards, because the directionality that we see that the energy is moving towards is the energy that they feel is matching them in conviction and integrity. So there could be some modalities here where someone is experiencing that energy of conviction and integrity from the past, and it's reaffirming and forcing that direction backwards. But that's not, you have to understand, that's not a movement backwards, because that is the energy that feels like someone has energetically caught up to them, right? As opposed to a lot of energy right now, and this is a majority of the energy I'm seeing, which is having something coming back from the past, not seeing that energetic change, just feeling the amplification of the same, lacking the energetic integrity of conviction of the energy to change, in which case this is moving energy even further forward. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is 9 of Cups in its upright. So this is a very positive card to be seeing today, because again, this is the energy, and you're going to keep hearing me say this throughout this eclipse process, okay? The important value of the work that we do during eclipse seasons is making sure that you're not just acting rashly. You're putting a lot of that work of conviction and integrity behind what you're doing right now. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy and separation, the choices that you're making right now could feel like they are the culmination of the choices that you've been making. Like all of that work on the self that you've been doing over that 9-month cycle to a certain extent. They're like, this says to me that there are choices that are being made right now for energy and separation that feel validating to the journey in terms of how far someone has come. And that is either the how far someone has come within the self, or the recognition point of how far someone else has come in relationality to you. But even here we see that for those energies in separation experiencing that isn't the work of a night. Like this is saying to me, this is energy that's giving some kind of indication of long-term growth, of long-term change. This could be energetic connections where there may have been a great deal of distance, because this is not, I just keep getting, this is not the work of a single night. This is like conversations that are opening up right now, articulating how much someone has energetically changed and how much someone has energetically grown. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, same type of energetic force, one side or the other right now. These are either energies that are finding those energetic counterparts that are matching them both in integrity and conviction. And it's that beautiful like opening of the lotus that is occurring in those modalities, that moment of excitement and anticipation, uncertain about what is next, but just feeling the full breath of love that allows one to say, like, that is the energetic priority. Like, this is the energy that's looking towards one another and saying, not sure what that means, but this is the energy that's both looking at one another and saying, we do both understand that the priority is our energetic connection. So even here, this could be a very beautiful time. And there's some energy right now that I can see it, a bit of energy falling out of that union energy. If these are modalities where someone's having that point of robustness where something's supposed to open, but instead they're pulling away, instead they're coming into that space of like, of shrinking away instead of coming into that point of flourishing. And we see even now that could be a moment that feels very energetically disappointing for the person experiencing it, because it's almost the energy saying, I can't force you into that. I can't force you into that. You have to look at that from a place of embracing it. You have to feel that as a sense of vitality and joy. If you let the fear override that, that's where we start getting all of those unhealthy attachments, or all of those modalities of someone who like pulls away when something becomes too vulnerable. So we see even now like a lot of energy doing that work. This may be trying to be as supportive as possible to someone, not trying to match them, but trying to maintain an energetic consistency with a hope that they will be able to do same. So we see even now for some of that energy, that's the energy, like the catharsis that's coming through, this is the energy that's not internalizing that. This isn't the energy saying, what am I doing wrong? This is the energy saying sometimes someone's just not ready to embrace that journey. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our 8 of Cups, and it's in its upright. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now, that is doing this work deep within divine union. This is a lot of the energy, I gotta say, and this is the beauty of the energy deep within divine union. You know, this is the energy that, again, prioritizing the energetic connection, it kind of allows you to roll with the punches, positive and negative, right? And so we see even here that for a lot of the energy navigating that work, doing that, this is that energy that is feeling like, again, they're saying to me mutual, you know, breakthroughs and breakdowns that are occurring right now. Like this is a lot of the energy deep within divine union that are spinning a lot of plates. But this is the sense of, again, being able to prioritize to a certain extent, that ability of doing so. This is the energy that just really kind of builds into that sense of focus. And so even now I see that there's a lot of changes that are occurring for the energy within divine union. But a lot of this work that I'm seeing right now, it feels timely, you know, it feels right. It feels like it's creating a sense of balance, because even here, I'm even identifying this. This is the energy that is focusing on the priorities, and that ability of focusing on the priorities is like guiding a lot of the path work, even if the eclipse energy is requiring like a lot more like sudden energetic decisions. Like that's the thing that's valuable about this. Like it's giving me like the ability, the beauty of like the energy deep within divine union. It's like ripping off a band-aid and not flinching. You know, there's just, I told you, this is the energy that's getting comfortable navigating spaces of energetic discomfort. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, I mean, coming into divine union, even now, I see two different modalities occurring right now. There's either energy that is moving deep within divine union right now, or there's some energy that feels like it's reaching some kind of like plateau moment to a certain extent, or that moment of frustration, specifically and particularly because we're seeing here that that's the energy that may be experiencing a modality where one person is ready, right? Like one person is ready and the other person is going like energetically or spiritually going, I'm not there. Like it's like too afraid of that change, right? But even here, the gift that I'm seeing for the energy experiencing this is the catharsis of someone saying, I can't change that. I'm not internalizing it. I'm just accepting it. While for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, I told you, which way are you going? This is a lot of that energy I'm seeing in separation that's saying, which way are you going right now? For some of that energy, experiencing and recognizing, doing that work. Like this is the energy. Everything I'm seeing here is the energy is moving towards the directions of the energetic connections that they recognize an ability to match conviction and integrity. And I got to say here, you know, I do see a few scenarios here in separation where there may be energy that is coming back in separation that has energy from the past returning. But listen to me right now, okay? Because I'm not that person, okay? These are not energies that were recently in connection. These are energies, if there's something like that happening where there's been profound amount of change that has occurred through a cycle that has occurred here. This is energy reconnecting potentially after a massive amount of work, or these are new energetic connections. Okay? Like this is, and I told you, because everything I'm seeing with the energy and separation right now are moving in the direction of conviction and integrity. And so if these are past connections that's happening in, there's been an expansive amount of time that has adjusted someone's convictions and integrity. Continuing, but I do see that for a majority of this, there's also a lot of energy that's moving away from situations where that's lacking in towards energy that has the possibility of bringing that forth. Continuing to get clarification between our Eight of Swords and its reversal in combination with our Justice card in its upright. One card to clarify is Queen of Swords in its reversal. So for a lot of the feminine energy right now, this is where we see a little bit of a departure occurring. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I think that one of the things that the feminine energy right now is working through that path work. And I have to stress this. This is not feminine energy not being in their Queen of Swords energy, but this is the feminine energy that has an open mind, if you will. Feminine energy is, again, like, you see the fact that the feminine energy is now working in a space of having energetic standards. But what's nice about having energetic standards is, like, you can give someone a moment to, like, state their case to a certain extent while still holding your sword, like, still holding your sword, like, still holding that sword. So you can see that there's a little bit of this energy of the feminine, where there's like, I want to say, feminine energy and separation is walking that fine line between being going, like I'm listening, like that kind of energy, like state your business. It's giving me a lot of that, like, state your business kind of energy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the energy of the feminine just being like, hey, the energy being like cautious, but also like very, like, very, like, conscientious. Like that's a lot of this energy of the feminine right now. And that is, again, I'm getting here that a lot of the feminine energy is working through that sense of being kind of the bow that doesn't break. The bow that bends doesn't break. So we see even now that this is the feminine energy not feeling like, I see it. This is not the feminine energy feeling like they're being vulnerable. I feel like this is a feminine energy that's showing, like, that sense of energetic strength in the fact that they can be, like, patient, but also very curtailing that to a certain extent, right? So there's a lot of that sense of the feminine, like, bringing a lot of wisdom to play in relationality to, like, new energetic encounters, or, right, that's the feminine energy, like, leaving themselves adaptable to new experiences. Or this is energy, if this is energy from the past coming towards them, long from the past, then there's an energy that is, like, guarded, but like listening, as it were. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now. This is either the energy that's moved deeply into divine union, right? This is the energy that's moving into divine union right now. Like, I'm reading, you can now be read, you're gonna be read up, like, that's what's happening here. And that's being marked with, like, a lot of that sense of, like, what happens next. Now, there's a lot of energy right now. I feel like there's a little bit of that question mark going, now, what do we do now? Or I'm seeing here that this is a lot of that energy that if these are modalities where someone is recognizing those changes that are happening and is able to talk through them, but another person is just becoming hyper reactive or pushing someone away at a time that they should be drawing them closer. There's a lot of that energy just coming into a space of acceptance and saying, I can't do anything about that. I can try to articulate to someone what I think is happening, but if they're not adaptable to it, if they're not in a space of being able to speak through it, this is the energy that's almost saying to themselves, I can't go back. Like, because now that's the energy saying, like, that is welcoming in some point of energetic trauma. Because when we come into those spaces, when we can't articulate about how we're feeling, but we're just starting to act inconsistent or volatile because of what we're feeling, this is the energy that, again, is staying kind of cautiously optimistic, but is also starting to feel the concern in being able to say to someone, if you can't recognize this is happening, I can't really do much to help it, right? Continuing for the energy deep within divine union right now, one of the biggest hurdles that I'm seeing right now in relationality to the energy deep within divine union, the biggest hurdles that I'm seeing right now in relationality to the energy deep within divine union, it has more to do, I want to say, this is a little harder for feminine right now, deep within divine union. Because I see it even now, like, so much of this work that's happening, I feel like feminine feels like they've got a lot on their plate right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine feels like they're coming in much more from a supportive space to the feminine. Like, I see a lot of masculine saying, what can I do to help you, like, energetically support you to a certain extent? But even here, I think that this is, this is something that feels like a bit of bad, like, and I have to stress this, like, we have noticed I did discuss the fact that even in our last reading, there might have been a little bit of prickliness between masculine and feminine, even in divine union right now. And some of it has to do with the way that these energies are navigating and learning those energetic lessons. You can see how something about it may be feeling a little bit difficult because we articulated how so much of the feminine is focusing right now and the masculine is coming into a state of play. You know, having that sense of like compassion in seeing where each other's at and recognizing you have different approaches to navigating the same energetic force is really important, because we call that different ways of coping. Okay, so just be mindful of that. Continuing to get clarification between our Justice card in its upright and our Two of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Magician energy. So I gotta say, even here, even within divine union right now, there still may be a little bit of this, like, I want to say, like, this energetic prickliness to a certain extent. Because we were even describing this in our last reading. Everybody's in the space of like deepen. I told you there's a lot of work that's being done right now in healing inner child. Okay? A lot of the masculine energy right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, is doing a lot of that work by healing their sense of play. A lot of the feminine energy right now is healing their work, doing like building into their sense of focus. So don't you guys start like picking fights with one another, because you're both doing the same thing in different ways. Because again, this is one of those moments where like masculine is feeling more experimenting, feeling more energetically playful. Feminine is feeling overwhelmed. Feminine feels like they're fighting. Like feminine feels like they're holding up those boundaries to a certain extent. So you can understand even here that the ability of those energies to navigate how each other are navigating something with a sense of compassion is like compassion, articulating through, right? Articulating through how one is feeling instead of subjecting another to what one is feeling is really important right now, right? Because what can happen in those modalities is masculine feeling energetically creative can give feminine that sense of confidence boost, right? Feminine, you know, having that moment of being energetically adaptable may help masculine in relationality to their own sense of like building into creativity. But these energies, like, it's a little, I want to say, it's a little combustible right now. It's a little energetically combustible. So even here, we see that making sure, like, you know, it's being deep within divine union isn't perfect either. This is the energy that like may have to like have a lot of conversations right now in relationality to how they're feeling, because there's I told you, we even saw this in our last reading, the ability, these are the energies that are kind of working on coming into an agreement, and coming into that space of agreement is like finding what feels like it works best for both. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. That's what we see even here. This is the energy going into that like, this is the energy that's either moved deeper into the divine union right now, because this is the energy that feels like they found their energetic counterpart. There is some energy right now that may be feeling like they've hit, like, I'm hearing here, like a record scratch moment. And it could be, again, if this is the masculine seeing the feminine, that is becoming, I want to say, like too, I want to say, energetically like confusing in the process of trying to come into divine union, allowing those doubts and fears to override their own determination. Or if this is feminine that's feeling that masculine that's holding on and holding back to a certain extent because they don't want to let go of their own autonomy. We see even now that there could be some energy right now that's potentially falling back into separation as a result of seeing something in the other and saying to oneself, I can't change that. I just have to accept that it is present. While for a lot of energy in separation right now, this is like, there's a lot of new energy coming towards people in separation right now. A lot of new energy coming towards people in separation right now. And I'm seeing even here that for so much of this work, it is having a different impact on masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For feminine, I see feminine energy kind of throwing up their hands to a certain extent and going, what's happening right now? Like, I just see a lot of feminine going, what is happening? Why is everybody coming? Like, I feel like there's a lot of this energy right now of feminine in separation that may be feeling like they're just, it's coming from like all sides. Like I told you, it's like this is like when it rains it pours kind of energy here, right? Like this is the energy that of feminine that may be being like, either it's nothing or it's everything all at once. Like, why can't it be paced out? Like, why can't it be paced out? But this is also helping the feminine control one's own energetic flow, prioritize, remember the lessons of the retrograde. Everything can be done based on priority and patience, right? Masculine energy is working through this a little bit better, is what I'm seeing right now, bearing in separation, because I see even here a lot of the masculine energy in separation is recognizing and identifying. Like, I see that there's a lot of that energy that isn't, and this is important, they're not trying to change the circumstances that one finds around oneself, just working on the self. Like, and that here I see even now for a lot of the energy of masculine, like that feels like an energetic breakthrough point, because I can just see, like, look at these two. These are new energetic combinations that are coming together right now. These are new counterparts potentially meeting. And even here, like that sense of recognition or that articulation on what one's been going through, I see a lot of energy right now almost speaking towards those situations, building energetic bridges on the way, and what's nice about this, I got to stress this, for a lot of the feminine energy right now, potentially meeting or encountering new masculine energy that is being very upfront and articulate, both about where they are and what it is that they desire from feminine. Like that, even here, we see that the feminine is in that modality of being like a little bit, conscientious, like not just going into that, like, working through that modality of building a new energetic connection, but feeling the release. Like I see even now, like these can feel like I see a lot of feminine energy building forth towards masculine that, is articulating upon what those manifestation goals are. So this is positive. The thing that I'm seeing that may be feeling problematic right now is I see that for some of the feminine energy in separation, this could be coming from energy that's new and also suddenly from energy that's past, which is why, again, that sense of feminine utilizing the sense of conviction and integrity that is guiding forth right now. Like that's kind of acting as that's the feminine that's like utilizing that in relationality to what they're being open and available towards. Masculine, I see the beauty that I'm seeing for a lot of the masculine in separation is almost that sense or that space of saying, I like masculine's also in separation right now, basically saying I am seeking feminine that has conviction and integrity and desires the same things that I want. And that's a lot of the masculine energy saying, I'm giving the feminine the opportunity of coming towards me with conviction and integrity when I give that forth to feminine. While continuing to get clarification right now between our Two of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Devil energy. So what are we going to say again? We're going to go through this one more time. This is a beautiful time to work towards energetic convictions, to allowing one's own sense of purpose and integrity to guide your path forward. What we want to avoid right now, you know what I'm going to say, because this type of energy, it's it's like it can feel like things like it's that sensitivity that can sometimes just like, have you popping off at people. Okay, what you want to avoid is moving off of one's energetic path work in relationality to something getting under your skin. Masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, relationality to something getting under your skin. Masculine and feminine energy right now in separation. I gotta say this. There's a lot of trepidation that I potentially see is occurring right now for energy and separation. And I see that a lot of that trepidation to a certain extent has to do with when we build, I mean, this is just the fact. When we build into new energetic connections with someone, we don't know about whether they're in a place of integrity. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know if they're in a space of integrity. So we see even now that there's a hesitancy in a lot of those energetic connections, because a lot of those energetic connections, even in the space of building into a new energetic connection with a potential counterpart, like, there's a shortness here. There's an anxiety of being, it's like everybody's got a hair trigger right now. So I think that in a way, you know, being able to be patient and navigate that is really important, because we still feel a lot of this heightened sensitivity that's occurring in relationality to some of that Piscean full moon that we experienced. So even here, I actually see that there's a lot of new energetic connections that are potentially articulating both what they're trying to manifest going forward versus what they experienced in the past that was anything but that. And so we see that a lot of that work is like, it's beneficial, because I see even now, like, that's a lot of the energy and separation building into a new energetic connection with someone, and not trying to give someone the sense of being energetically perfect. I almost see these energies that are like almost articulating to one another and saying, like, you know, like, this is the, like, these are some things that I'm working on. Like, this is, you know, this is a bit of a hurdle for me. I do see some energetic connections, like I said, from the past potentially rising up in some contexts here. But a lot of that is, and that's why we see some of that hesitancy at the same time, because I see even now, like, there's a lot of energy that's looking towards someone and saying, like, and that's why I see that the ones that feel like they're coming from a place of authenticity are the ones that have a lot of space there, because this is the energy. I see a lot of energy that's experiencing that, saying, what are you doing back here? But it's almost like the energy of someone saying, like, I've, like someone being like, no, I've energetically changed to such an extent that I want to bring forth the fact that I acknowledge that there was something deeply wrong with how I proceeded forward towards you. Like, that's where I'm seeing that work is happening, and it feels like it's authentic, versus the energy of feeling like someone coming back and being like, I told you, like, just taking something, not fixing it, and just cranking it to 11, which often is indicative of someone that is just coming back, not from a sense of wanting to change, but almost asking someone to stay. Well, for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, I just see that so much of this work of the energy deep within divine union right now, like, it's going back and forth. This is like positive, negative. This is a lot of the, I just told you, a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now is just like either going with the flow or rolling with the punches. And right now I feel like the energy within that space is probably feeling like they're doing both at once. Continuing to get clarity between our 9 of Cups in its upright in combination with our 8 of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our 2 of Cups in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within divine union. I got to tell you, even now, I can see even like some of this temperamentalness reaching some of the energy deep within divine union right now. And I want to stress, if you're feeling like that, it's okay, because what we're seeing, and I got to tell you, it's when we find the energy working through something in such a way that it's bringing out different qualities and characteristics in the counterpart, it sometimes can create those feelings of energetic disparity, okay? Because what we're effectively seeing right now is, for so much of that energy, we see that masculine right now is in that sense, it's like, it's feeling like more of an easement point. It's feeling more like a creatively, like, positive time. Feminine is working through focus via being overwhelmed, right? So you can see even now that both of these energies, they may be feeling like they're going through something similarly, but they're taking different tactics towards it, which can sometimes make them feel very separate, right? And even here, we can see that that can be a little bit of volatility there, right? Like that's that energy that's looking towards the counterpart going, must be nice, right? Like, must be nice. So we see that, that ability of navigating that from a place of compassion is like what builds a bridge, because this is the energy to a certain extent that, like, I want to say is working very hard not to take things out on each other, but to articulate through things to a certain extent, right? And that is that recognition that, like, and even here, which is ironic because we just came into Libra season, so there's a hypersensitivity on creating or maintaining balance. You want to make sure you don't move that. And this is what happens every time we hit Libra season, because the pathwork of the Libra is to recognize and identify, thank you, that again, balance is something that we create, and that's something we can facilitate. But but often balance becomes imbalance when everyone starts going, that's unfair. You know what I mean? Like, that's the energy, like, like, do you ever notice that? Like, everything's like a perfect balance point until someone says that's unfair. And then suddenly, like, everything gets all like, like messed up, because like, that's the difference between balance versus balance for the self. Like, that's hard path work, right? And so we see even now that this could be some energy that's navigating that space and either trying to create balance in that way, right? Like, did you ever notice that the energy trying to maintain balance is often not thinking so much about the balance of the self? You know what I mean? Like, it's that type of work that we see even now. So this is a lot of that energy deep within divine union, coming to that aspect of fairness, potentially having to navigate someone more in a personal space that's thinking more about their own personal sense of balance as opposed to like what feels like it's energetically balanced. And that could be a bit of a headache. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now. A lot of this work that we're seeing that is potentially occurring right now for energy coming into divine union. And I'm just recognizing this here. There's just so much of this energy doing this work right now. This is the energy, and because I see even now there's some energy right now that's on the cusp of coming into divine union in a big way. Thank you for that gift. So much of this work that we're seeing here, some of this energy is moved into divine union. Some energy is seeing a modality or moment where that heightening of sensitivity is opening up. But if instead of that being a moment of someone reaching for someone, instead of that being a moment of someone like, opening up and articulating how they're feeling, if this is a modality of someone that's just starting to act really weird, right? That's starting to withdraw, that's starting to pull away, and potentially someone's like asking for clarity, but instead they're getting like volatile, or instead they're getting like, closed off. This is a lot of the energy that's almost looking towards something with a sense of energetic sadness, saying to themselves, I've seen this before. I know what this is. And a lot of the energy right now that's experiencing that, the reason that feels so difficult or devastating is this is not the energy that's looking at that and saying, I don't think that this person cares about me. I feel like there's someone looking at that and being like, I know that this is someone that doesn't know how to handle love. And that's that moment of someone that's like feeling the expansion or the opening up point of that sensitivity. But instead of becoming vulnerable, if they're becoming reactive, this is a lot of that energy that starts to feel that sense or that space of saying, I don't think that this person is energetically ready for commitment, because they're withdrawing from a moment that should be bliss instead of welcoming it with open arms. So that can be, but the beauty that I'm seeing here for some of the energy experiencing this isn't the energy looking and saying, what did I do? This is a lot of energy coming into divine union, looking at someone saying, this is what's happening. And that's the energy that's almost like, I feel like the gift of it is someone almost trying to articulate to someone and say, do you recognize that this is what's occurring? But it's an impossible effect, like vector when that happens as well, because like, it's almost the energy that recognizes that even in the moment of experiencing it, there's already been an energetic disruption to the connection, right? Because again, conviction, and integrity are required to maintain a healthy energetic connection. And I see even now, like I almost have this energy looking towards one another and saying, I need you to be courage. Like it feels to me like I see someone almost waiting for another person and saying, I need you to be courageous right now. I need you to be courageous like you never have been before. But I see a lot of that energy looking and being like, I'm navigating like my love, like someone saying like, I'm navigating my love against their fear, you know? And once that fear energetically takes over, you know, like I can see even now a lot of the energy is like, I can't talk to you because your fear is overriding any of those productive conversations. Continuing to get clarification here. But again, at the same time, I also see for a lot of the energy in separation right now, new energetic connections that are forming right now. And for a lot of this energy in separation, I see even now, this is like a midway point I'm identifying between the past and the present, because for a lot of this energy, I'm either seeing energy that is being able to come back towards someone after a great deal of time and saying, I am so, like, I see it now. I recognize where I went wrong. I recognize what I needed to do different. But I have to stress this. This is not just energy that is saying that. This is energy that's showing someone. These are new energetic connections that are potentially occurring right now that had connections in the past, but someone has been on path work where they've said, ever since then, this is everything I've done to change. Like this is showing like the full breadth of change here. This isn't something that happened like last week. Or these are new energetic connections that are forming wherein someone's able to like say, this is what I've been experiencing, or this is what I'm healing from. So these are energies that are meeting one another at a point of deep healing. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Swords and our Magician card in its upright, Queen of Swords in its reversal, and our Magician card in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Hermit energy. And I have to stress this right now. I'm actually very, very happy. Very, very happy to see this card in combination with so much of this energy that we see right now around the energy in separation. Because this is not energy in separation that is rushing into an energetic connection. This is energy in separation that may even be articulating on new energetic connections and saying, like, you know, I'm taking my time. I'm very conscientious of my time. I'm very hesitant in building forward to a certain extent, because I'm just seeing even here, there's so much of this energy that values and has put that point of prioritization on their time, that they're not just rushing into something. They're taking that time to really assess and recognize if they feel like this is someone that is right for them. And so even here, I see a lot of questions being asked. I'm getting a lot of and this energy, but I think the beauty of this is I feel like I see even now, like these energies that are giving and taking in this way, in such a way that they both recognize and understand why. While for masculine and feminine, and even here, if these are older energetic connections that are reforming, the reason that there's so much distance here is this is someone articulating and saying, I've come a long way. I'm not the person that you used to know me as. I've changed, right? This is why I'm saying even now, if I'm saying someone from the past is coming back here, I'm not saying that this is someone from the past who was here last week. I'm saying I'm seeing here energetic connections that are happening of someone saying like, no, I've gone on a journey. I've gone on a journey and I can see things now that I could not see before. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is either a lot of energy right now coming into divine union, or there's some volatility here. Because even here, I'm recognizing and identifying that for the energy coming into divine union, the one thing that is becoming clear is this is energy saying, I'm not going to chase after someone if they're pulling away in this way. I'm not going to chase after someone if they're starting to act emotionally volatile. This is a lot of energy that's kind of recognizing, or has been learned enough about love, that the understanding point that we heal ourselves. We heal our trauma to make room for love. If we do not heal our trauma, our love will not feel like love. which is why we see even now that if these are energies that we're building into a space of trust and have now reached a point where someone is now starting to act volatile or someone is starting to pull away, and that's that confusion point of someone saying, I know this person cares of me, but why are they doing this? This is the energy that reminds and reaffirms and says to themselves, some energy isn't ready for love. Some energy doesn't know how to hold it. Some energy will hold it and it will feel like fire in their hands, and they'll try to let it go if they haven't learned the ability to maintain and sustain with the consistency and integrity necessary to hold that, because it's not easy. It's frightening. It's vulnerable. But this is the energy that says to themselves in the process that that ability of doing so, that isn't something that can be effectively corrected. You can say to someone, I think that you're acting, and this could be energy that says, I'm acting like this because this is what happens when I fall in love. This is the energy saying, well, you need to learn how to hold that better. Like you need to learn how to hold that better. And so I can even see a lot of energy almost saying to someone, I can help you hold that. Like I can help you learn to hold that, but you have to desire to do so. So we see even now that there could be some energy right now that's trying to get insight in the fact if someone's starting to act strange in that modality, saying like, are you willing to do that work, or are you just going to keep on being weird like this? Are you it's almost like saying to someone like, has this happened before? Because I see I think I've that it's almost this modality, because this is the energy saying, I've seen this before. I know what this is. Do you recognize this in yourself, or are you still not aware of it? Continuing to get clarification, while the energy right now deep within divine union, I just see that a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, doing that work, facilitating through the things that you're facilitating. This is the energy that even when they're in different spaces, that is a moment of being able to build a bridge. Because this is the energy that does not, I want to say, even if they're prickly about the fact that they're navigating something in a different way, this is the energy that I want to say that ability of doing that, I want to, this is that moment of support and easement that comes within divine union, because this is the energy that recognizes the space of truly knowing one another and knowing what it takes to navigate something in a way that is uncharacteristic of each other. This is the energy that moves away from that must be nice to I love that for you, right? Because when we say that must be nice, what we're actually saying it in the space of saying I wish I had that. But when we say I love that for you, what we're really saying is I know how hard it is for you to accept it, to fall into that modality. So I love the fact that you are challenging yourself to move into a space that is challenging, because I recognize that even in taking that modality, even going into that, the progress of your own journey and how much it takes for you to be able to do so, right? That's what we really mean when we say I love that for you. So for masculine, coming into that state of play when feminine knows that that's something that is difficult for them, that's the feminine saying, I love that for you, because that's the feminine saying, I recognize, my light recognizes how difficult it is for you to embody that. So I see the fact that that is a triumph. For masculine, recognizes how difficult it is for you to embody that. So I see the fact that that is a triumph. For masculine, looking towards feminine, working through those boundaries, feeling overwhelmed in the process. We see that a lot of the masculine saying, I love that for you, because this is the masculine saying, I recognize how hard you're working. And I know that that's not easy, but I know that you're doing it anyway. So both of these energies, again, giving each other, building that bridge by saying, I see you, and I see the fact that something that you're doing that feels difficult is progress, even if you don't recognize it within your own self. Continuing to get clarification between the Magician and the Devil card. Oh, one card to clarify, please. Clarification with the Lovers in its reversal. So this is a lot of that energetic heaviness that's here today. Because even here, and this is why it's so important that we navigate, those spaces and places from a point of recognition. And I have to say, even here, some of that volatility that we were identifying that's happening right now, it's a little bit, I have to stress this, it's a little bit of that princess, and like it's a princess and the pea effect to a certain extent, right? Like, what do we see truly when we have those moments of the princess and the pea effect is something that feels like it was small and manageable, feels like it's energetically overwhelming. So I got to say this again today. If there's something that usually you navigate just fine, but it's really getting under your skin today, it's you're in eclipse season. So keep a level head on it to a certain extent. Because even for the energy right now in deep within divine union, like they're feeling like energetically everybody's feeling this across the board today. So it's really important that you move with intentionality. You don't become reactive. And also that you move in a way that feels like it's energetically productive. And I think what's hard about this is for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, navigating through others, unhealthy coping mechanisms, bad modalities of thought. It becomes very easy when you're navigating someone else's fears to allow one's own fears to rise to the surface, right? Like that's the energy that goes, it would be so easy to match something there. But that's why it's hard work. Like that's why it's hard work, because one's own ability to just say, like, I'm not going to match someone. I'm going to maintain my own integrity through something. That is how we energetically heal, because that through doing that process, we see that that's a lot of that work that's facilitated in that capacity, because it's a recognition. It's being able to visibly see our own failure points, our own tendencies, and then say, I'm not going to do that, right? Like it's a moment that someone goes, I could, but then you go, I'm not going to do that. That's the moment that you say that you don't do that for those around you. You don't do that for any other reason than you know in your heart that's the right thing to do. And I see even now, like a lot of that energy saying to one another deep within divine union, if no one else sees it, know that I do. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, a lot of this energy coming into divine union right now, I see either again, a lot of this energy either just came into divine union, but there is this struggle point that I'm seeing right now around some of the energy coming in, because we saw all of that turbulence. And this is some of the struggle point that I see for some of the energy coming into divine union right now, because this is that modality of looking towards someone and saying, are you ready? Like, are you ready to move forward into that space? And I see even now that there's so much of this energy that may be going through some self-review. And this is some of the benefit here. Like there's energy, like I see even now there's conversations happening of individuals going into divine union, that there could be this observational point of someone having a conversation and saying, like, are you scared of love? Are you scared of commitment? Why are you scared of commitment? And that sense of, again, I see a lot of people unpacking the fact that saying, like, I'm scared of losing my own autonomy, right? Or even potentially unpacking past experiences where they felt like that was not a safe space. So we see that the benefit here, and I think that this is valuable and important, is because we don't see energy. I don't see energy coming into divine union right now where someone's acting weird and the other person's going, well, if you're going to act weird, I'm going to act weird, and then we're both going to be weird. Like, this is not energy right now that is trying to match someone else's confusing behavior, right? This isn't the energy I'm seeing of someone being like, well, I'm just going to do what they're going to do. See how they like. This is the energy that reaffirms their own point in remembering that if someone isn't aware that they're doing something, doing more of it to them is not going to act as a light bulb moment. Like if someone doesn't know, if someone doesn't know how to cut paper and you just decide you're like, I'm going to show them, I'm going to cut paper really, really messy. You're like, it's not going to get through to them. Like that's the moment of saying like it's not about punishing, it's about educating, right? And so I see a lot of energy trying to come into divine union and saying, I'm not going to get into that modality of punishing you by behaving the way that you're doing it. I'm going to assume that's not happening. I'm going to try to educate you to what I'm seeing. And your ability of responding to it is going to tell me everything I need in relationality as to whether you recognize it or not. Because I see even now that for the energy that says, I haven't thought about that. No one's ever put it to me that way before. Like this is the energy that even experiencing some of that disparity, the ability to build a bridge, this is the energy that's extending that possibility. And I see even now like entirely the response in terms of how someone receives that. Whether someone says like, yeah, you're right, that's probably what's happening here. Or someone's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Why, like, and becoming like pushing off more. Like this is the energy that's basically ascertaining whether there's something here that can be fixed or worked upon, something someone is struggling with versus an impossibility vector. While for energy and separation right now, this is, I just keep seeing a lot of this stuff. I have to stress this. There's a lot of energy right now in separation that's like when all hope was lost. Like I just see a lot of this energy in separation right now that's really kind of like, I don't want to say it's hopelessness, but there's a lot of this like very cautious trepidation that I see is occurring right now. Because so for so much of that energy in separation, this is not the energy that is assuming that everyone wants to be in divine union. This is energy right now in separation that's trying to immediately ascertain what someone's intentions are. And through open, honest communication. And that's the energy that's like, again, the benefit here is I just see even now, this is energy that's just ready to, like, is ripping open the ripping off the Band-Aid. This isn't energy that's like, going through a lot of that, like, song and dance, if you will. This is the energy that's just moving with a lot of intentionality to try to understand whether someone desires or has the same manifestation goals as they do when it comes to partnership. While a lot of this energy here, we're also recognizing and identifying to a certain degree, I also see that there is some modality here of building bridges. I see even now, like there's so much of this energy that we're recognizing and identifying to a certain extent that is coming through that pathwork of restoration. But I have to stress here that for those energetic connections where I see someone from the past coming back, this is not someone coming back and just cranking something up to 11 and saying, I'll change, I promise. These are potentially what feel like new energetic connections, someone reconnecting with someone after a long period of time wherein someone has had the ability to identify and recognize how much they've changed and is actually starting by putting that on the table and saying, like, I see like what was wrong. I see what I could have done better. I've been working fastidiously. This is the energy saying, I've worked fastidiously since that point to be able to change something. And I'm glad I'm having the opportunity to potentially show you. Continuing to get clarification between our Devil card in combination with our Two of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Two of Pentacles energy. So a lot, like the thing that I'm seeing even now for a lot of the energy in separation is feeling a lot of that work on balancing. But the thing I have to stress here that I'm seeing for a lot of this energy in separation is what you're trying to balance is very different than what you were potentially balancing before. Because I just see that for a lot of the energy navigating forward right now, like I keep getting the message, integrity and conviction is what's clarifying and guiding that path forward. Because all of this that I'm seeing now, if these are either new energetic connections that are being brought forth, or something here about connecting with someone from like the deep past, the ability of seeing how much something has changed, or someone articulating in a new energetic connection how much they have changed. I just see that a lot of that contemplation point between the past self and the present self is what is acting as the foundation for so many of these new energetic connections. And the ability of someone to both articulate and speak towards their own self on that journey is giving the indication to someone of everything that they need to know about that person. Because they're saying even now, like they're saying that that is someone that's like someone's own self-awareness is being amplified and recognized in those moments. That feels like there's some like new energetic connections here where someone is really feeling like they're connecting, because those do not feel like surface level conversations. They feel like energy that really weighs and puts consideration into their choices, and that is amplifying the conviction and integrity of the individual counterpart. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into divine union, that ability of showing someone something that you see, to see if they are aware of it, and to navigate how they handle being shown that. This is the energy that feels like they're being given everything they need in relationality to saying to themselves, is this something that feels like it can be worked upon? Is this something that feels like it can be improved upon? Or if someone is still pushing back, even in the modality of trying to show someone something in a way of trying to heal it, like this isn't, I have to stress this is because the energy is saying to themselves, I'm not going to try to force healing here. I'm not going to try to force someone to change, but I will show them what I am observing to see if that's something that they are aware of, because this is the energy that's almost saying to themselves that that feels like a gift that you give someone, so long as you do it not with the intention of hurting someone, but from a point of articulating and trying to show someone as an educational moment what you're experiencing, with the hope that they will see that and desire to improve it going forward. So those are delicate conversations that I'm seeing here, because this is the energy saying, like, I'm not saying this to hurt you. I'm saying this in a way that I wanted to show you what I'm experiencing, to see if we can understand what's happening. Well, and even here, like that's the energy that even now, like some of the energy is looking at something and saying, okay, they have that ability of identifying it. There's something here that can be fixed. But if there's energy that just pushes too hard off of that work or that journey work, that's the energy saying if someone doesn't want to go into the work of self-awareness in order to maintain an energetic connection, there's nothing you can do about that. That's going to be the circumstance that one finds oneself in as you continue to maintain the energetic connection, right? Clarification between our Hermit card in its upright and the Lover's card in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through with our King of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now. So much of this work that we're seeing is related and focused upon like a working on like making a energy right now deep within divine union is probably feeling like they're playing like Tetris at like the highest level, because there's just a lot of moving parts that I see are occurring right now. And so for masculine and feminine energy, navigating all of those moving parts to a certain extent, this is some of that challenging space, as it were. Because for those energies, that ability of not losing one's own not losing one's own sense of stability in the process is incredibly important. So for feminine, we see that a lot, and this is where we see that these energies right now are very much balanced. Feminine is working right now, again, maintaining those energetic standards, putting a lot of that work in. Masculine is also doing this work, but this is the masculine that's also meeting that same sense of anxiety. And if this is the masculine that's feeling that instability as it relates to being able to build, stability around the feminine, this is how the feminine is healing that towards the masculine, because this is the feminine looking towards the masculine and saying again, your how do I articulate this? Your gift is not just based upon what you output. It's who you are. Like this is the feminine that keeps on affirming this to the masculine in that modality, right? saying to the masculine again and again, your intrinsic quality does not exist in what you have to, in what you put forth. Your intrinsic quality rests in who you are. And that's reaffirming the masculine in his own sense of confidence, particularly because we see here that so much of this masculine is in that sense of experimenting, doing something in a different way. They sometimes still feel unstable in that way. So this is the energy that's supporting one another's healing of the inner child. For feminine, feeling that anxiety in relationality to their own focus. This is the masculine that's reaffirming to the feminine and saying, you are very good at, you are getting stronger every day. Right? These were the lessons that we kept seeing that were coming through for these energies right now, deep within divine union. This is again for masculine. You are always on time. You are always on time. You have never missed anything. You are always on time for your own journey. For feminine, the mantra is, you are getting stronger every day. You are getting stronger every day. And again, same work right now, different mantras that they're working through, because these are the energies that say, it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel it. No, it doesn't feel like that. That's why you got to keep digging. Okay. Well, for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is the modality of energetic encouragement. And I see even now, if there's something about someone pulling away at a time that they should be leaning forward, this is both masculine and feminine kind of giving each other that sense of support to each other. And again, that ability of the energy is going through and learning everything they need by trying to have a hard conversation. Because if this is the energy that's doing that fragile work of saying, I'd like to talk to you about something I'm noticing about you, but I don't want you to feel like I am trying to be hurtful in the communicating of it. This is the energy that's just like being able to recognize, that the ability to have a hard conversation with a counterpart, that is a requirement in order to move into a healthy energetic connection. So if this is a modality where someone's acting strange, but then it's like doubly compounded by someone acting strange, and then when you try to talk to them, they refuse to have the conversation, or they take it personally, or they push you away in the process of trying to do so. Like, this is a lot of the energy that's kind of already going through some of that release process, because this is the energy that may be feeling and experiencing something and saying, I can't facilitate healing. I'm not going to try to facilitate healing with someone that doesn't want to be healed. I'm not going to say to someone something needs to change, and if they're resistant, or they're argumentative, or they're pushing away from doing that work. This is the energy that feels like that sense of sadness, because it's almost requiring them to step back, but almost saying to someone in the process, like trying to say, are you aware of this? Or are you refused? Like, is this intentional? Or is this something that you don't recognize is there? Because something that's not recognized will usually be met by someone saying, I didn't realize I was doing that. I'm sorry. That was my failure point. That was my error. What can we do to make it right? Right? That ability to come into that space of wanting to put that work in gives you the indication of whether someone's aware that they want to do that work, versus those spaces or places of someone that may be, again, not able to navigate the feeling of love and just starts feeling erratically within it without recognizing that vulnerability is necessary in order to maintain it. Continuing to get clarification for a lot of the energy in separation right now. I just see these tremendous, I just see, for the feminine energy, I just see a lot of feminine energy having a lot of new, masculine energy coming towards them, and some from the past, some from the present, just a lot of this. And I can see even now, a lot of that work has to do with the integrity and the conviction through which someone is moving towards feminine. Because even here, if these are experiences where someone's coming towards feminine right now, but they're not moving with integrity or conviction, they're just taking something about a need and they're just cranking it up to 11. There's a lot of the feminine energies I'm not here for this. This doesn't feel like change. It just feels like you're raising the volume on something I didn't like from the beginning, right? While for masculine, it's very much the same. Like if this is feminine coming towards masculine and masculine's looking towards feminine, stepping towards the feminine, but feminine saying like, I need this from you. You need to do and that's the difference between having like, again, the productive conversations versus that sense of like holding on to someone. So we see even now that a lot of that energy in separation is kind of caught in that flux state of potentially dealing with something from the past or navigating new energetic connections from the present. And the way that is, and again, because there's so much energy and different disparity points at this point, the best way I can describe it is the energy is moving towards the energy that is articulating upon conviction and integrity. Not demanding, but because energy that moves with conviction and integrity doesn't need to demand, they usually put forth. And so the ability of someone to approach and put forth something is giving the clarity to everyone in separation in relationality to which direction they're moving towards. For feminine right now, and look, because I see even now, these new energetic connections that are occurring, a lot of them are them kind of like, this is the energy that's like stepping forward with their like, not their best foot forward. Like feminine's just being their most authentic expression of self, being like, I am exhausted. I don't have any, like, I'm not here to put up like a false sense of self. Masculine saying like, I'm not trying to energetically impress you either. I want you to know exactly where I am. I want you to know exactly what I want. And these energies in the process are healing any of those unhealed counterpart connections where, again, if they were leading with the false sense of self, like this is the energy that's like the mask is off. They're just moving from a place of like deep authenticity and integrity at a time that they're saying like, I'm not even looking for anything. But that's because sometimes when we walk away from something, we're just beginning to be where we need to be to find it. Continuing to get clarification between our Lover's card and our Two of Pentacles in its upright. Lover's card in its reversal in combination with our Two of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify here with our Ace of Wands in its reversal. I'm just seeing even now a lot of energy. I know you guys are saying this, a lot of energy in separation, saying, no, I'm done. And then here we go. Some kind of new thing coming forward right now during this eclipse season. Throwing some energetic caution to the wind, but I need to say this is not energy that is moving recklessly when I say throwing caution to the wind. This isn't energy that's throwing their integrity away, throwing caution to the wind. This is energy that's throwing caution to the wind in terms of being their most authentic self and not putting up some kind of false sense of self. So even here we see that a lot of these energetic connections that are coming forth right now are coming forth from a place of like deep authenticity and clarity. Clarity comes sometimes, even if it comes from the space of exhaustion, like that's a way to get there too. And so there's a lot of energy right now that's almost like being like having like very like brass tack conversations, but because of that sense of not wanting to waste energetic time. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, so much of this energy that I see right now that is coming into divine union is focused upon, I just want to say, there's either energy that's moved deep into divine union, but if these are modalities here where someone's feeling trepidation, where someone is all of a sudden like coming into divine union, acting strange or starting to pull away at a time that you're supposed to say to someone, this is supposed to be like the beautiful period. Why are you getting strange? Like this is the energy that's almost trying to show it to someone, to say to them, are you aware of this? But not, I got to say this, not in a way of saying, not becoming accusatory, right? Almost just articulate upon what one is experiencing to ascertain through one's own ability to, again, talk through the self instead of just reacting to how one's feeling. I see even now the response to those conversations is giving someone everything they need in relationality to how someone navigates being shown something, right? Having someone else's experience of them being brought forth to them. Final card, and even there, like that is clarifying, that is amplifying. Or if that's creating more of the same, if that's just the volume getting pulled to 11, that's the energy saying, I don't think this person's aware of it. I don't know if they have the ability to hold love. They might just become reactive in this modality because that heightened sensitivity is something that they hold with anxiety or fear, instead of allowing oneself to embrace the vulnerability. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, so much of this energy that I'm seeing deep within divine union right now is working through navigating and maintaining, like keeping one's own sense of purpose, keeping one's own sense of prioritization. And I can see it. It's hard right now because it feels to me like a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, is navigating those around them that may not necessarily be moving with that same sense of integrity and conviction, right? And whenever we're in those spaces and places to a certain extent, it can be a deep energetic challenge, right? Because for so much of that work that we're seeing, that ability of doing so, that ability of becoming, like, maintaining productivity, even around some of the vacillation of the energy around you to a certain extent, again, not becoming reactive to it, but just navigating through it. That's important. Like, that's important. That's an important aspect of the work, because I see even now, like, that's not energy that is matching someone in a state of their own uncertainty. This is the energy that, like, experiences uncertainty and just reaffirms their own energetic commitment and relationality to what it is that they desire, right? While for final part for today's reading, between our King of Pentacles in combination with our Ace of Wands in its reversal, King of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Ace of Wands in its reversal, Empress in its upright. So this is a beautiful card for us to be concluding our reading with today. And again, I like to see this now because we're seeing even now that this energy is reaching a point of balance. So we still have a lot of that equinox. We've got a lot of that, equinox energy still very much present. Because even here, it's not so much that these energies are perfect, right? Like, look at the energy deep within divine union. Masculine is feeling like, they feel like they're struggling under the tangible obligations. Feminine feels like they're struggling under their own ability of, like, building, like, taking an assertive, like, role, moving forward assertively, energetically. Both of these energies are supporting one another right now, because we see here feminine is supporting the masculine and saying, keep expanding, keep experimenting, keep doing things differently, right? So this is the feminine helping masculine with that gift of proliferation that we've spoken about, while masculine is helping the feminine here by saying to the feminine, continue to do things and continue to push forward, continue to act with determination, act with decisiveness. So both of these energies are reaffirming the fact that the reason something feels like it's energetically hard is because they're pushing out of their comfort zone. And whenever we push out of our comfort zone, it often feels like we're not doing something well because we're teaching ourselves how to do it. And these energies are supporting one another in the process of going through that energetic journey. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that is trying to ascertain what is potentially happening, if there's something that is occurring in terms of seeing something in the potential counterpart that feels like it is counterintuitive to the direction that something was heading towards. So even now we see that, like, this was either a massive time of deepening, like a lot of that energy I spoke about is now deep within divine union. So we're going to talk about the energy still in turbulence here. If these are modalities where someone is pulling back at a time that they should lean forward, if someone's saying, you know what, this is happening in such a way, I don't think that this is a person that doesn't care about me. I think this is someone that doesn't know how to navigate when they start to feel that space of love. They start acting unpredictably. They start letting that fear dominate their experience of it. instead of embracing the beauty and the joy of the vulnerability required in order to be within it. This is a lot of the energy that's trying to articulate through it with a potential counterpart to say, are you able to describe? Are you able to talk through this? Is this something that we can work on? Because this is the energy that's feeling that firm mandate to say to oneself, I'm not going to build into the potentiality of what's not there, and I'm not going to force healing on someone that doesn't feel like there's something there that needs to be healed. But that requires someone to be able to articulate and identify, like, the fact that they see it within themselves. Because I just keep seeing even now that there may be some energy looking towards someone saying, I know exactly what's happening, but you need to know what's happening too. Because if not, I'm just going to have to experience it in the face of trying to love you, right? While for masculine and feminine energy, and that's why this energy isn't matching it. It's not going to say, I'm going to do it too. This energy knows better. It's not trying to tell them you have to stop doing this. It's trying to say, are you, like, this is how I'm experiencing it. I want you to know how I'm experiencing it and what I think is happening. I'm hoping that you can provide clarity and context, right? It's the asking of the question that tells you everything that you need to know. While for masculine and feminine in separation right now, for a lot of this energy in separation, I see new energetic connections coming through here. I think what's interesting is I see feminine that says, like, I'm not trying anymore. And that's when the feminine became beautiful. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Because now here's a bunch of feminine going, I'm not going to try anymore. And there's a lot of masculine looking towards feminine being like, look at her. Like, look at her just being her authentic version of self. Look how confident that person is, right? While we see even now that there's a lot of the masculine energy that says, I feel very vulnerable. I'm going to just tell feminine what I want. And I feel very awkward in that because I feel like a child. I feel like they could just reject me. And this is feminine going, look how brave masculine is. Look at the masculine that has the bravery to tell me what they dream and giving me that ability of being able to share in that dream with them. So even now, new energetic connections in the wake of these energies feeling like at their lowest, that's when they begin. Bottom of the deck on this reading. Ah, there it is. You may have remembered this card from our last reading. We've got here our Five of Wands in its upright. And, you know, we always navigate these, like this, I gotta say, the eclipse seasons, they magnify. They magnify the good, they magnify the bad. And so even here, the ability for conflicts to reach fever pitches during, like, eclipse seasons is, did I say retrograde? I meant eclipse if I said eclipse. Thank you. The ability for conflict to reach fever pitches during eclipse seasons is rampant. So please, 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 please avoid conflict during eclipse cycles. Do not engage in conflict during eclipse cycles. Do not start conflict during eclipse cycles. Do not let that thing, do not say, you know what, that thing, I know what you're doing right now. I know a bunch of you are sitting there going, you know what that thing that happened 3 years ago? You know that thing happened 3 years ago that I've been sitting with for 3 years? I don't think I want to sit on it anymore. I don't think I want to sit on it. I think today's the day I'm going to act. Don't, please. That is not you talking. Okay? That is not you talking. That is the eclipse energy talking. Because I'm telling you, it's a princess and a pea effect. It'll take something that is small, something that you can navigate, doesn't bother you, it's to the back of your mind, any given day. And suddenly you'll be in the eclipse. You'll be like, you know what? I'm going to pick up the phone. I haven't talked to that person in 22 years. Today's the day. Today's the day I'm going to give them no, you're not. No, you're not. That's not you talking. That's not you. Chiude la bocca. That is the eclipse. That is the eclipse amplification of taking something small that you can usually just not even think about, that suddenly feels like the most annoying thing just under your mattress. It's just, you can't get it. Don't you dare. Okay, I want you to write you know what I want you to do with it? I want you to write it down. I want you to put it in a box. And then once you put it on the box, I will address this after the eclipse season. okay? If it's that important, okay, whatever it is, okay? If you're just getting it in your head, if it's still there, if you still want to do that, when the eclipse is over, then you got my full permission to open that box, take all your little slips out, and go wreak whatever little conflict or havoc that you thought you got inspired to wreak during the eclipse season. But please, after October 17th, knock yourself out, but not a minute before, okay? And I will be very upset at you if you do. And also, that goes for any new conflict that comes towards you. Okay? Don't match energy right now. Be the energy you want to see. We're all going through it. It's frustrating. It's intense energy. But again, remember, don't internalize it. Just navigate through it. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here to experience it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, gracestrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, I want to let you guys know about a couple of updates. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who attended our last tarot class. Our next tarot class will be held on Thursday, October 10th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Lover's card. And I am so excited to be able to go on this journey with you because we have completed the first cycle in the tarot. I cannot wait to start this next one. And if you join my class program now, it is the perfect time, because once you join, not only will you have access to the live class that is going to be held on October 10th, but you will also have access to the full library of course materials and recordings that we've previously gone through. So you've got about 6 hours worth of classwork to catch up on. You don't need to catch up, but it certainly helps as the classes build upon one another. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we're studying. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I really tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're already participating on those classes on my Substack, and I encourage you to join me there for our next one. But even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack to participate in those classes, I would encourage you to follow me there, because as a free follower, you'll have access to the full reading podcast each day. I also post there a photo of each day's spread so you can see the full spread. I also post there any of my newsletter goes out each week. It went out last night, which will tell you about my in-person appearances. It'll also give you my full live schedule each week online. You'll also get notified as to my giveaways. Speaking of giveaways, we are in the process of having our September giveaway. If you would like to potentially win a free private tarot reading with me, head over to the link tree in my bio. There's a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway, but if you want to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull for the winner, I will be giving away a free reading not only to the person who wins, but also to whoever referred them. So I want to thank you if you've already entered, and I wish you the best of luck of winning this month. Finally, I want to let you know that on top of my standard life path readings that you can have in a private session with me, I also offer mentorship classes. These are classes that are focused on your own personal sense, your own personal path work. So anything that you want to work on in relationality to aspirational goals, in relationality to the tarot or your own spiritual journey, these are focused and oriented on each student. I take a very limited number of students for that reason. These can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. Those are discounted rates on 4 30-minute readings, one per week over the span of a month, so that you can stay more consistent on your journey. Finally, I want to let you guys know that anyone who is a subscriber to my TikTok can also potentially receive extra perks and coupons to subscribing to my Substack. Head over, if you are a subscriber on my TikTok, make sure that you are on the Discord that is specifically only for the TikTok subscribers. You should find it in your perks. I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of each other. And we will do this again tomorrow.